All right, so welcome back to Genius. So in this session, let's talk about how do we search for items, elements in an array. Our array is a collection of items, elements. So how do we search for and how do we also filter them out? So you might have an array of scores of your students. You want to search for the highest score or you want to search for a particular score, something like that. You can actually use these search methods. And if you want to filter them, you want to let's say you have a score, you have your student scores, and you want to filter them based on the scores that are greater than 50. Do you understand? So you can actually filter them like that. So this is what I'm going to be showing you in this session, and we'll be doing some exercises too, okay? So the first one is the find method. The find method returns the first matching element. What it means is this: if we have more than one matching element, it will return the first one. So let's say we have scores, all the scores of our students, and we are saying we are looking for the score that is 50 or that is greater than 50. So it will return the first matching element. Even if you have more than one matching element, it will get the first element. Okay. So look at this. Oops, sorry. So look at now, it returns the first element that matches a condition. So we have this array 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And what are we doing here? We are saying numbers.find. So this thing you see inside of this function, we call it predicate. All right, I'm going to show you in code how we actually do it. So you can see we are looking for the number that is greater than 25. So we have 30, we have 40, we have 50, but it returned the first matching element. The first matching element. So that's what the find element does. So I will go on to code. And okay, so I have this the ages. Okay, let's say we are still working with the ages of our students, all right, or the ages of our friends or whatever it is. So inside this find method, all right, you're going to write something we call a predicate. That predicate could be something like this, okay? You can put another bracket inside of it and something like this, okay? So this bracket we can call this predicate will run for every, okay, you can just for understanding sake, just call it is a function, but it's not actually a function per se, or it's a function too. It's a function that returns something. So we call it predicate and give it any name. You can call it E, or you can call it A, or you can call it age, anything you call it. So we are saying age, and when I say age that is greater than 10. Do you understand? So we have a predicate here. We said we're looking for we're actually looking through all the elements in this array, and this variable here would hold the particular element that is being iterated. So as the first iteration goes, so we get the element that is running through the iteration already. So it's either you put it inside bracket like this or you don't put it inside bracket. All right, this still works. All right, so I can say age. Now, this age is referring to the particular iteration. Let's say now, when we are iterating, this find method, we iterate through all the elements we have here. So the first iteration would be 10. So this age represents 10. 10 will be assigned to this variable we have here, age. Then we'll now say its age greater than 10. If age is greater than 10, all right, it will return it. And once we find a match, it will stop running. So 10 is not greater than 10, so it will be false. So it will not return it. Will go to the next one. 2 is 2 greater than 10. No, it will return it. And is 13 greater than 10? Yes, 13 is greater than 10. What would it do? Okay, it will now return 13 because that's the first matching element. All right, so there is a loop here. This find method will loop through all the elements, and for every iteration of this loop, or for every iteration, the item, this age here would have each of these item, and then it will be evaluated against this condition. So, but to be safe, all right, we can do this, all right, and this is we are returning this predicate is going to I don't know how to put this to not to confuse you. but this predicate is going to return a Boolean. So for each of these element, any of them that for each of them, for any of them that this logic evaluates to true, then that element to be returned. Do you understand it? Okay, so for each of them, the first one will be returned. So that's how it works. All right. So I can still take this thing back, and so if I open this bracket now, you'll see that this is called a predicate. It takes in a value, and it also takes the index. All right, and then it is returning a value. So this is the age, this is the index, and here we can now do whatever we want to do with this. We can even say index, greater than 1. So let's see what we are going to get. If I run this code now, I've not tried this thing before, but let's see what we are going to get. But of course, it would work because we could write any condition there. So we got 13. So we said we are, because in this predicate, in this bracket, you would have the item itself, the element and the index of the element. That's the value of the element and the index of the element. So you can now do whatever you want to do with it. Here we are saying we're looking for index where the index is greater than 1. So 10 is in index 0, 2 is in index 1, so they do not match. So 13 is in index greater than 1. You can even do some more things. You can even say we want to return where age is greater than 10 and, sorry, and index greater than 1. Of course, it will get us 13 too, so it will still work. You see? You can do crazy things here. You can just do crazy things. The thing is that in this predicate, all right, this is more like a function. This predicate is more like a function, but it is return. It must return a Boolean. It must return a Boolean. So you can either do it this way or you can do it this way. You can make it a proper arrow function, but you have to return something. You have to return something. So we cannot say return. It will still work. All right, it will still work. I hope I'm not getting you confused. All right, the whole thing there is this. This predicate is more like a function, an arrow function, but this function must return a Boolean. So for each of these items, elements, for any of them that this logic is true, all right, that element will be returned. So that's the best way I can actually put it. So if we run this thing, we still get 13. Okay, so that's the element that we found on this particular logic. All right. In case you don't understand it, please reach out to us so that we can explain more. But this find method takes in an arrow function, and this arrow function must return a Boolean. So for each of these elements that are inside this array, for any of them where this expression evaluates to true, that element will be returned. Okay. All right, so that is it. So the next one we have here is the find index. It's more like the same thing with the index, but this time around, it is going to return the index. It will be returning the index of the element. That is what it will return. It will return the index, not the element itself. So if we go on and say we want to work with, I will say dot find index. Okay, this find index also takes a predicate. You can see it also takes a predicate. All right, it also takes a predicate. So we can just go on and run this. All right. So, but this element that we have is going to be index. It is the index that will be returned. So the index of 13, which is the first occurrence that matches this evaluation, this Boolean evaluation, this expression, sorry. All right, the first one that matches this expression, the index of it is 2. So 0, 1, 2. So it's going to return 2 for us. So both the find and the find index, both of them will take a predicate, but the difference is that the find method will return the element itself, all right, while the find index will return the index of it. So you can see the first element that matches this expression that regards this expression to return true is 13, and 13 is in index of 0, 1, 2. All right. So basically, that is how it is. So we also have another method we call includes. So what includes does is that includes checks if the array has a particular element. All right. If the array has a particular element. So it checks if an array contains a specific value. So we can say apple, banana, cherry in an array, and we want to check, does this fruit contain or includes this banana? So that is how it goes. So let's see. Here we can say we want to, I'm going to take all these things off. So we want to look for ages dot includes. So we want to check, does this ages, this array, does it include any value that is 10? Of course, the answer will be true because it contains. So I'll just call this thing results, and I have to change this one to result 2. So when I run this thing, we are going to get true or false. But of course, we are going to get true because our array contains 10. All right. You can also check to if this array contains 100, but when we do that, it's going to give us false because our array does not contain 100. Now, let us check if, let us do this. I open the bracket. The only thing it takes is the particular element you want to search for. I want to search for the element 10. Does it contain the element 10? But I can also say, I don't want to start from the beginning of the array. I can say I want to start searching. I want this my search to start from index 3. So index 3 is, we have, in index 3 we have 40. So from 40 upwards, do we have 10? The answer is no, which means this thing will return false. So if I run this code now, it's going to return false because from index 3, we do not have 10. But if I go ahead and include 10 here, it is going to return true because from index 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this search will start from 40, which is index 3. It will check for 40, to check for 15, it will check for 10. Of course, we have 10 from here. So if I run this code now, it will return true. All right, you can see. So with the includes method, you use it to search for a particular element. All right, you use it to search for a particular, you want to check if this array contains a particular element or a particular item in the array. Okay, so that's how you go about it. So, but in case I said, in case you get confused, if you do not understand it very well, please reach out to us. Okay, so the next thing we look at is, okay, you can see here, the first example, the console says, does it include banana? Yes, it's true because it includes banana. The second one says, does it include grape? It does not include grape, so that is why it returned false. Okay? So the next one we look at is the index of. So with this index of, it finds the position of an element. Let's assume that we do not know the position or the index of the element, but we want to make use of it. So what we are going to do is this. We are going to use the index of. The index of will return a value between 0 greater than 0 and more. Okay, from 0 upwards. But if it doesn't find any value, to return -1. Do you get it? Okay. So when you use the index of to find a particular element, if that element does not exist, it will return -1. But if that element exists, it will return 0 or 1 or 2. It will return the index of that particular element. Now, you can also say this, the index of and the includes might do almost the same thing, but it's just that the includes returns true or false, while the index of will return a positive, will return a number, will return the index of that element. But if it doesn't find it, it will return -1. So look at this here. Sorry. In that example we had before, we had banana in the array. So when you say index of banana, it will return 1. That's the index of the banana element. But grape is not found, so it will return -1. So let me show you in code. We can still go on and say, okay, we are looking for index of, let's look for index of 40. We do not know the index, so we want to look for index of 40. So when we run this thing now, it will return the index of 40, which is 0, 1, 2, 3. It will return 3 as the index of 40. You can see it returned 3. But if I say index of 400, of course, we do not have 400 in this our array. So it will return -1. All right, it will return -1. I make use of these things in my program a lot. In array is something that it's a data structure that you cannot do without. So you learning these things will be amazing. Okay, I make use of these methods very well in my projects. Okay, so that is index of. So we can also use we have another method called the sum method. The sum method checks if at least one element meets a condition. Let's say we have our ages 10 to 40, 15, 13, and we want to check does any of this element is any of this element greater than 10? So if there is an element that matches that condition, it will return true, else it will return false. So let's go and see. So here, okay, I could just switch this my example. Let me go with my friends. I have friends and I want to check, does any of my friend, at least do I have one person that their name starts with J? Do you understand? So what I can do is this. I will go for the predicate. Remember, I think this will be the easiest way for you to write this predicate if you're not yet experienced. Let me use this format. The predicate, the name, I will say this is name, or I will call it friend. Okay, and this is the index. All right. So what am I going to return? I'm going to return a Boolean value. So I'll say return. I will say friends. I will say friend does start with. Okay. I'm looking for a friend that their name starts with J. So it will return true because at least I have a friend. If you look at the list of my friends, James Amechi starts with J. All right. So when I run this now, if I run this now, it gets true because this guy starts with J. I have a friend that starts with J. So at least one friend starts with J. But what if I say I'm looking for a friend, at least this my predicate says starts with W. Of course, I do not have it, so it will return false. All right, it will return false. So this is another way of writing your predicate. And let me show you another way of writing your predicates too. So if for any reason you're not going to make use of the index, all right, you could just say friend and this arrow, this equal to then the arrow button, all right? So I will now say friend does start with. I can just do whatever I want to do here. I can say friend does start with K. All right. I can even write another thing. I can say friend dot match. I can even use that regular expression. I can say use regular expression here, and I can say I'm looking for a friend that at least has that there is a match. So this thing will return true or false. So anything that returns true or false is what I can use here. Or I can write a logic that returns true or false. So I hope this is not going to confuse you, but just look at the syntax, look at the way I'm writing it. Okay, so when you're inside this function, you're going to get the element and the index. So, but if you're not using the element, the index, there is no need. You can just write it this way. But if you're using the index, you can write it as a normal arrow function. If that, I would advise you to go with that because that would make you, it will be easier for you to write. But you make sure that you return a true or false value. You must return a Boolean value. All right. So to make things easier, I think you should just, for now, just stick with this one. This is the friend. That's the element that is that will be available for the current iteration, and this will be the index of that element. And then this is the arrow function, and it could be something like this. But you have to return a Boolean value. So whatever logic I'm going to write here must return a Boolean value. So I can say friend dot, I'm looking for a friend that their name ends with, okay, look at functions that you can use. I'm looking for a friend that their name ends with K. All right. So of course I have Patrick and Patrick's name ends with K. So I can go on and run this and I will get through. So at least one of my friends. So this sum method will return true or true if at least one of the elements matches this your predicate. All right. I know this could be hard to grab, but if you do not understand it, give me a private call. Give me a private call, chat me up, and I will explain more to you. Okay. All right. So we have another method that is the every. The every method checks if all elements meet a condition. All right. It checks if every element meets. Okay. So the every does the opposite of the sum method. It will check if all the elements, so it will return true if all the elements matches that your condition. All right. So you can see what we have here. We are saying number greater than 5. So it will return true if all the numbers in this array are greater than 5. So let's go to example and show you. So I could go back to my ages. So I want to check, does this my ages, does all the elements, so I'll use the every. So does all of them, um, does all these elements actually, as in, how do I put it now? For this condition I'm going to write, does all the elements actually meet the condition? So I could say I'm looking for, I will grab the element and I will call it age. Of course, you can, if you still want to work with the index, you can do this. I can say, this is another way of, okay, sorry, let me not do something advanced. So I can say return, it must return. This, your predicate here must return. This your function must return a Boolean value. So I can say age. I'm looking, does all the age, are they greater than 1? And of course, you can see that all the ages we have, they are greater than 1. So if I run now, I'm going to get true because all the ages, all of them meet this condition. But what if I say all the ages greater than 5? Of course, we have 2, which is less than 5. That means not all of them match this condition. So if I run this now, it's going to be false because at least one of them is not greater than 5. I hope you get it. So in case I also want to work with the index, I can say, give me all the elements. Does all of them have index greater than 2? But I think would also work. Of course, it will be false because not all of them, we have index 0, 1, and 2. So not all of them are greater than 2. So, but I'm just trying to show you what you can do with this logic here. Once you have access to the value and the index, you can write any logic at all here. And as long as that logic returns a Boolean value, it works. But you must have to return it. If you're using this pattern, you must use this return. Okay? All right. So we have another one, the filter. So what this filter does is this. When you have an array of elements, you might want to filter them based on, okay, let's take a look. I want to filter all the ages based on the ages that are greater than 5. We don't want to make use, maybe we want to create another array out of it. So we want to work with the students that their ages are greater than 5. So this filter method will return a new array. It will return a new array with elements that match a condition. So instead of returning true or false, a Boolean value, instead of doing all those things, it's going to return a true or false, okay? Sorry, it's going to return an array. So if I go on, let's see, let me show you this. Let me show you this. So instead of using every, I'm going to say filter. All right. So what am I filtering? I want to filter ages that are greater than 2. Okay, so let's take a look at what it returns. You see the array that we got. You can see in this array that we are we are writing to the console. It does not contain 2. So it has filtered these 2 because this 2 does not match. This 2 does not age. We are looking for all the ages that are greater than 2. So 2 is not greater than 2. 2 is equal to 2, but it's not greater than 2. So we filtered it out. If we want to filter more, we could say age greater than 5, or we say age greater than 10. So it is going to leave out 2 and 10 and will give us a new array. So when I run this now, it's going to give us 13, 40, 15. All right, it will filter every other thing that does not match this condition, but it is going to return a new array. All right, so as we go on, especially when we'll be working on our project, all right, you're going to see how all these things play in. All right, okay, so let's take a look at some exercises. Let's take a look at some exercises before we close. Okay, so let's do some exercises. Okay, the first one we are going to do here is the first one says find an element in an array. All right, so this is the element. This is the array. So we said we should find number 30 in the array. So we are looking for want to find the number that is 30. So this is how we go about it. So we are going to say, I'll take all these guys out and I'll say constant. I'll call it array is equal to, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. All right. So we say we should look for 30. So we'll say constant, we'll call it L. And what are we finding? We are finding array dot find. So what are we finding? We are finding, and the predicate will be something like this. This time around, I will not make use of the index. I'm not going to include it in the parentheses. So I will say num equal to 30. So this will be printed out. Of course, we are looking for the number that is equal to 30. So it will return that element, which is 30. So when we run this now, we are going to get 30. Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm using res instead of element. So that res is undefined. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so you can say we are looking for the number that is equal to 30 and we got 30. All right? Okay, so that is the first exercise. The second exercise that we said, find the first occurrence of an element. We have apple, banana, cherry, banana, date. So if you can see, we have two bananas here. So we were asked to find the first occurrence. Of course, we'll still use the find method, but remember the find method will give you the first occurrence. So if I go on, and do this, I will have apple. I would have banana. I would have cherry. I would have another banana, and I would have, what's the last thing? I would have grape. Okay, so what are we finding? We are looking for the fruits where the fruit is equal to banana. So that is our logic here. So we say this fruit that we have captured is equal to banana. This is enough. So it will return the first occurrence, which is the banana. So when I run now, it's going to give us banana. All right, it gave us banana. So it found the first one. We have two occurrences there, but it gave us the first occurrence, okay? So we could confirm this thing by saying, okay, there is no need. I wanted us to use the index and print the index out, but there will be no need. So the first one we got is the answer we got. The element we got is the first banana because the find method will return the first occurrence, okay? So the next one is said we are finding the index of an element. We have red, blue, green, yellow. So we are asked to find the index of green. So we could go back to our example and we want to find the index. So let's find the index of banana. So we could say find index, and we are looking for the fruit that is equal to banana. So when we run this now, we will get the index. The index is 1. So we have apple in the index 0, banana 1. You can see here the first occurrence is what we got. So we got the index as 1. All right. Then the next exercise would be we were asked to check if an element exists in an array. Do you understand? You remember we use include. So include will return true or false if an element exists in an array. All right. So we have Alice, Bob, Charlie, but we can use our example. We can check if we have any fruits. So we can just use the includes method. So we're looking for, do we have any element? Do we have any fruit that the fruit is banana? So when I run this thing now, we are going to get through because we have fruit. Oops, sorry. Okay. What is wrong? What is wrong? Oops, sorry. This just takes, I'm sorry, it takes the element itself. It will not take a predicate. So that is why banana. Now, all right. So it doesn't take a predicate, it just takes the element itself. So we have banana and we get true. So we were asked to check if this particular array contains a particular element. So we are checking for banana. You can check for apple, you can check for cherry, you can check for grape. Okay. All right. So here we were asked to check if David exists in the array. So you can see that David does not exist in this array. So if we take it back to our example, let's look for something that does not exist in the array. So we don't have orange. So of course we will get false because we don't have orange in this our array. All right. We got false because we don't have orange in this our array. Right, so the last but not the least, yeah, this will be tricky, but let's do it, okay? We were asked to find an object in an array because arrays can also contain objects, all right? So we were asked to find objects in an array. So we have name, John age 25, we have three, yeah, so we were asked to find. So let's go and write this code. It's going to be tricky, but just pay attention and be patient with me. So I am going to take everything out and I'm going to have this and I'll call it persons. All right. And this persons is going to be an array of objects. So the first object is going to be name. Okay. Let me say first name. I'm using FN here. And I'll say the first name is John. Oops. John. And age is 90. So I'm going to have more here. Let me do 3 more. Okay. So here I will have James. And James' age is 30. I will have Larry. I will have Larry. And Larry's age is 19. And I would have Kelvin. And Kevin's age is 900. So if we go back to the question, they say we should find a person with age 30. Okay, so let me go and include somebody's age to at least to be 30. So Kevin's age is 30. So we were asked to find the object, the person whose age is 30. So this is what we'll do. I'll go const and I'll call it person, and I'll say person is equal to persons is the name of the array, persons dot find. So remember, I said this predicate has to return true or false. So whatever logic I write, as long as it returns true or false, that will be cool. So I will go with person here, and I'm going to have my arrow function. All right. So I'm going to say return. I will say return person dot age equal to 30. So this is going to return the person whose age is equal to 30. So what would I do? I will write console.log, and the person that was returned is what we want to print out. So when I run this, of course, we are going to get it because we have, you can see, James. Oops. Okay. No, we were supposed to get Kelvin. Okay, no. You can see, yes. Thank you. This thing came up. You can see we have James to be 30 and we have Kelvin to be 30. And remember that the find method returns the first occurrence. So it returned the first occurrence. Okay, so let me take this guy. Instead of 30, let me make his age 40 so that we don't get confused. But at least it makes sense. All right, it returned the first occurrence. So the first occurrence where the age is 30 is James. But if I take James to be 20 here, is going to return Kelvin for us because that is the only matching element, the only matching object. So you can see how to work around with. Here we have seen how to search, we have seen how to filter. So in case we want to filter, we can say filter these people based on the people who their age is greater than 20. Of course, when we do this, we are just going to get the people who their age is greater than 20 is John and Kelvin. So we are going to get an array because the filter method will return an array. An array of, okay, so it returned 2 of them, but okay, we cannot expand them. All right, so it returned 2 items in this array. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where we draw the curtain. And in case you get confused, please reach out to us.